Coming at you from a couple of stools in the low-class studios. This is a feminist and a comedian walk into a bar. Your weekly cool-ass podcast. Fun things. Hey guys, what's up? This is Jackie Manti.
If you're here, you know what it is.
You know what it is.
There's no need to hype it.
I'm your host today, Jackie Manti. I'm a feminist, and I am sipping on. Well, to be completely upfront,
Be frank with them.
I will be frank with you guys. We just got home from a long road trip. We're a little woozy from our car ride, but basically we didn't have anything in the
West
fridge.
Virginia, coming
Virginia,
home.
City
roads. Take me back to Chicago.
Where we belong. Yeah, so we were in West Virginia celebrating a friend getting inducted into the Hall of Fame, the university in Morgantown, West Virginia.
West
University.
Virginia's Sports Hall of Fame.
Yes. Sports
Female.
Athletic Hall of Fame. It doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. Yeah, female soccer player. She was super badass. Still holds the record for most scores during a career.
One of my oldest friend's wives.
Yeah.
Now autonomously a friend of ours.
Yeah.
But just to state the connection, yeah, she
Right.
got inducted in the Sports Hall of Fame with like 8 other people. We went to the West Virginia football game on Saturday. They had like a little thing between first and second quarter where they put her on the Jumbotron and told of all her accomplishments, and it was cool. And then obviously there was just drinking and friendship.
We screamed like maniacs and then also thought about how terrible we are at sports in comparison.
In comparison.
You're like, speak for yourself.
Not just straight out bad at sports, just
but
not
just in comparison.
just not honorably good, not worthy of
Hall
honor.
of Famers.
No. Not even at a like a
family
collegiate
level.
specific level, but
So long story short, although you just got the long story, we didn't have it much in the fridge, so I'm sipping on. I made a concoction from Justin's bar of his sober drinks. It's cran lemonade.
my mixers.
Your mixers, basically. It's cran lemonade, which is basically a mocktail. Though let's be frank, I could have just been like, I made this mocktail.
You're being very frank this episode.
So frank, you got breaking all the walls, the fourth, fifth, sixth wall. It's cran lemonade mixed with 7-Up and a couple cubes of ice, put in a little rocks glass.
How is it?
It's delicious. It's really good, actually. I like the cran lemonade. That's good.
It's
like
good, right?
I like cranberry juice. Obviously, that's like my drink, but like with the lemonade, it's nice.
Cran
nice and sour.
really makes friends well, you know, and I'd never seen cran lemonade before.
Yeah, cran's a good listener.
And when I bought, or it's a slut, however you want to think of it, it'll just fuck any
Why
fruit.
can't it be both? Can't you be a slutty good listener? They're not mutually exclusive.
I don't even want to get into that. But
we can
I
do
see
it
where
all.
this is headed. Get you a cran that can do
Can
both.
do both.
So, and you could tell it was a new concoction because whenever there's something new in the grocery store, the label always says new on it to be like, oh, that's new.
I haven't tried that.
We should try that.
Try it.
But yeah, if you remember many episodes ago, I made kind of like a take on a margarita with it. I believe it was that mixed with tequila and then a splash. That tequila lime juice, mixed it up in a cocktail shaker, strained it, and then topped it off with a little bit of lemon lime soda. It was
like
really
7-Up, basically.
Yeah.
So basically this, but with some tequila in it.
And lime juice.
And lime juice. Okay.
And you gotta mix it. The mixing is an important step. Don't I feel like that was belittling of my drink. It was really tasty, but I just always thought like, yeah, these kind of sound like the components of a margarita, but let's add a little cran. That's a little business. You know, if there's one thing I would say about, well, a good margarita isn't too sweet, but a lot of margaritas can be too sweet when they're bad.
Yeah.
So not only get that sweetness out with a lot of sour, but also add a little bitter. Sour and bitter. Double.
Just like your wife. I was calling myself sour and bitter.
I know. It just, come on. No, I'm just playing.
Too easy. This is why you're the comedian. With me, as always, Justin Golak.
That was smooth. You redeemed yourself. That was ultimate smoothness.
What you drinking?
I'm back in the high life again. Same thing. We didn't have a lot of time. You know, it's kind of late.
Yeah.
You know,
had it in the fridge.
Just nightcap with a high life. We just got back home, so like the old low class studios are a little warm because the air conditioner was off all weekend.
Yeah, if we start sweating, sorry guys.
So I was like, ooh, just like a nice cold American Pilsner. How good does that sound?
High Life's
Refreshing,
American.
effervescent.
The champagne of beers.
Yeah, I mean it's Miller.
I know. I was just kidding. It's the high life. Of course, it's American.
Yeah, I guess it's not really the champagne of beers. It's the sparkling wine of beers.
Okay, well let's dig right into it. Let's get into topic 1.
Wait, you gotta give pod. You gotta
Oh
website
no,
stuff.
I'm such a
Come
bad
on.
host. I'm doing my style.
Wrong.
I'm wrong. This is not how we do it. Hey guys, before we get into topic 1,
I let you get all the way
why-
into topic 1 start before I corrected you
I
because I
know.
know you're always mad.
I know.
Let me do it.
let me do it. Hey, give us a subscribe over on iTunes and any of the systems you listen to podcasts on. We're on all of it. Give us a subscribe. Give us a rating. Anything else to add? Should have taken my
FemComPod.com.
notes. FemComPod.com. You can catch up on all our episodes. We've been almost a year now of this. So
This
you
is episode 40.
hell yeah.
So I guess like 52 is always quote unquote a year. It's 50 if we do
Yeah.
it weekly. It'd be a little over a year.
We're close.
But
Basically, there's a lot of listening.
should we do
you can
something exciting for episode 50?
Yes.
Okay, just that.
That's a
No
plug for our
promises
50th
of what
episode.
it'll be, but
Come
it'll be
back
something.
in 10 episodes.
Yeah, and then
But yeah.
you know where to go for all that, right? Where should they go, Jackie?
lo-class.com.
Handed the ball off. You made a touchdown.
It was beautiful.
That's
Speaking
teamwork.
of touchdowns, another touchdown. That was great. Good job. Topic 1. Let's talk about. I'm surprised we haven't talked about him yet on here because I feel like we talk about him personally.
That's what I was going
I
to say when you
just-
brought up this topic. I was like, have we talked about this, or do we just talk about this in person?
I think just in person. So we're
The
gonna
lines always blur for me, like what we talked about on the podcast and what we just talked shit about.
in life.
Just hanging out.
I want to talk about Colin Kaepernick, and I think now's a good time though to talk about him because
Football season started.
well, football season started, and he's a free agent, and
Mhm.
basically the news right now is that he's not being picked up, even though he's like, well, you would know this better. I don't really know if he's a good QB.
Yeah, I mean,
But,
that's kind of like I don't know. Do you want to just get into that first?
Yeah, why don't you lay some groundwork for that?
I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to claim to be the authority.
Right.
I know
You
more
know more
about
than me.
sports than you, but and I've heard about this. Here's another thing I'll say too: is when a story like this, when a story that's part of a certain genre or a certain whatever, like like I don't read a lot of comic books, but I'm sure if there's something big in like the comic book world,
Yeah.
I would know about the social part of it if there was that bleed over, and I'd know about that more than that other part. So I think that's kind of like, I think like a lot of people see this just as a social issue because they're not in the sports world.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I'm in the sports world, so like I can bring some depth of just the nuts and bolts of that. But obviously, I also see the other. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Because I just feel like there's a lot of people that have never watched a down of football being like, this guy's great. Why doesn't he have a job? It's all because of the protests and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I'm not saying no.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying like,
There's
he
more to
was
it
he
than
was on the San Francisco 49ers when they made it to the Super Bowl
Mhm.
and lost to the Ravens. He did play good that season. He did have a diminishing return in the preceding seasons, and that's why I don't think he's so exceptional as a quarterback that he is just deserving of a job, whether starter or backup, and there's just no football excuse why he's not given a job. But I do agree with the sentiment that based on the quarterbacks you see on rosters today and the teams that need someone either on the field or on the bench or whatever, that it would seem that all things being equal with these kind of, B-level players, he's probably one of the better of the Bs, and you think the only reason that he's probably like getting picked over another is, the protesting.
Or that he's not getting picked is because they don't want to be associated with his protests.
Yeah, I guess it's weird, right? I don't know. That's what I mean. It's just not clear. Anyone that says it clear either way, that he sucks, that's the reason why. No one gives
Yeah.
a shit. If he was good, he'd be on a team.
That's not the whole story.
No, but also, to be fair, the people are saying it's only because of that. I think that's also, here's what, it's not wrong. Both those are oversimplifications.
Okay. But it is suspect. Or like
It's not, here's what I'll say, it's not a factor.
Yeah.
It's definitely not a factor. But
Well,
I don't know.
and the particular story that we were looking at earlier was about the Philadelphia Eagles and that they have notoriously signed other. Well, not. I mean, Colin Kaepernick is definitely not a criminal, so like he's even not even on that scale. But like
Yeah.
they have hired Michael Vick after the dog fighting charges, and then some. I don't know who this is. Riley Cooper. They offered him a contract extension after his racist tirade at a concert.
He was
So
like an Eagles wide receiver.
okay,
Dropped an N-bomb.
yeah,
Just on like a
a
little
security
Instagram
guard.
video or something.
Yeah, he was like being arrested. But anyway, so this story was like, hey, like it's just weird that they need a guy and they're not getting one of the good guys because
But that's the point. Here's the point.
yeah.
Here's another way I think to also like describe it is it's like uh, his protest, as some people see it. I'm not even saying this is a universal fact, but I'd say as some owners see it, his protest is a factor. It's a distraction. It's whatever. Like it's tens of many of things they think could be a negative. Whether you agree or not, that is what some people think. Some of these owners, some of these GMs, some of these locker rooms, whatever. So then you have to weigh that against the positive. And I think a lot of times that's what gets brought up. This person does this thing, hits his wife, drinks and drives, they get another chance. And then it's like, well, they're weighing that against what he could give the team. And I guess that's kind of what I was trying to lay out before. It's like he's not so undeniably good that someone would say, like, fuck all the other shit. It's worth it because this guy's going to change the team. That's not – and that's, I think, what people are conflating. Like, it's not that he's bad, and it's not that –
clearly.
and it's not that that's an excuse. It's just I think everyone's weighing it. And, again, like, that leads into – and, again, that is still – its own that's still its own walled off segment, because then the next conversation is calling what he's doing a distraction even fair to what he's doing?
Yeah.
And again, I would say probably, for again my opinion, no. But again, I don't think it's a yes or no. I think it's opinion based. I think I would agree with no, and I have a lot of reasons why it's not a distraction, why it shouldn't be a problem. But there are some ways, some even just smaller things that I could see, like, all right, I kind of get it. Doesn't mean I agree with it. I think that's something we've lost in discourse. You don't have to agree with something to just, I get it. Doesn't mean I agree, but I get it. So, again, just while I'm here, because neither of us are experts on anything, so let's do the things we know more about. When people bring this up, if you want to just talk about police and about protest and about what rights you have under the First Amendment, I'll have that talk. And if you want to talk about whether Colin Kaepernick is a good NFL quarterback, I'll talk about that too. But to me, it's kind of uninteresting and over talked about to like blend them all together into one subject. And it feels like everyone talking about it as one subject knows more about one than the other. And I never really get satisfied by the people reviewing it. It's either someone that doesn't know about football and they're just like, he's great, society's racist, blah, or it's people that only know about football being like, I don't know, it's a distraction in the military and blah. And it's like, well, you're also oversimplifying like a very complicated social issue.
Right.
So I'm trying to
surprised
give something of a more sensible blend of it.
I'm surprised more players haven't. I mean, there have been some who have taken his lead, right, and now kneel during the anthem or sit down during the anthem. And
That's
don't
the
sit for
problem.
it,
There's a ton. So it hasn't affected really anyone but him. So
Yeah.
that's, again, when you have another thing like,
yeah.
how much is it affecting him when other players are doing it and doesn't seem to affect their ability to keep a job or get a job? So.
And like, I mean, that sucks for him, but it keeps his name is now associated with the fact that, he did this because he didn't want to stand for a flag for a country that oppresses people of color, black people.
Totally.
That's what he said. He won't stand for it, for the anthem, until the country that flag represents actually protects all of the people and stands for what it's supposed to stand for. That was fucking huge. That was such an important moment.
Which I think I'm saying is a totally fair stance.
Right. But like, I think, I know that sucks for him that he's not being taken, but I like that it's keeping the topic hot. You know what I mean? Like, hey, can we, but like, let's not talk about even the football thing, not us, but like we as a society. Can we talk about what he's doing this for and like what he just, really sacrificed his career for?
That's
like,
what I would kind of say. I think that's like a good way to kind of wrap this up, not saying we have to like end it right away, but kind of
Yeah.
like tie it all together, is like what I would say
Let's
is
focus on this.
I think that, I mean, again, I'm a Browns fan, so now you have Cleveland players, including one white player who has been kneeling for the anthem
Great.
since late
That's
in the
awesome.
preseason, to the point that I believe it was them that like there was some like fraternal order of police or something that did something at the game, maybe held flags during the anthem. Or I don't know. They were involved somehow. I'm kind of like
Yeah.
a little loose on the details of the story, but they were like, we're not going to participate unless you tell these players not to do this or suspend them or whatever. And the league was, or the ownership was kind of like, fuck you, but like in a nice way because you're cops and we got to make everyone happy.
But also, thank you.
And so again, like in terms of just like acute.
So did they make them stand?
No, they've still been kneeling as far as I know.
That's awesome.
And so I guess I would just say, yeah, sorry, like that's a little grainy on the details, but the point is I've seen more acute reaction to the kneeling style protest in the NFL specifically without any major implication on players' careers. Now, in fairness to Kaepernick, I think it very well you could argue, reasonably so, that's a clear case of, first one through the gate catches the fire, right? Like he was the first one to do it. He led the movement, so he's going to catch the heat. Then the other people can kind of lay behind him, do their thing a little, which is admirable for him. But also, I don't know. That's my point. Maybe here's the thing I would say. Here's how I'd wrap it. Because I said I was going to wrap it. And I know you want me to wrap it so you can talk more, which is fair. But the point is like, I think here's what I'll say. I think A, it's going to be okay. And B, what you said about having the real conversation is important to make sure his being okay is worth it. Which is this. He was the first one through the door. He's the one catching the fire. And we're upset about it, rightfully so. But sometimes we just have to accept the bad as a fact of life if it's something that is overcomable. I don't think there's a way to solve the fact that the first one to do something is going to catch the heat. He caught the heat. It maybe ruined his career. What's the career of an NFL quarterback? Did he lose 3 years, 4 years worth of money? It's not like he was going to play into his 60s. He was going to need a new thing. He has a new thing. He's the kind of leader of the sports-related social justice movement of his time.
And he's a humanitarian. I mean, like that's
right.
that has led into that.
He can make a career off speaking, off leadership. Like he'll never starve. He'll never. His cause will never be shut down. So from the practical to the emotional, like he'll be taken care of. And the thing he took fire for, people are still doing without recourse against them. At least we haven't seen now. Maybe down the line, maybe when they're up for trade or free agency or whatever, maybe it'll hurt something. But so far, it seems besides him, no one's else really been affected for doing the same thing. So again, if you truly are on his side, whether specifically or just whether you agree with what he's saying or whether you agree with just his protests in general, again, I would stop saying, give this guy a job. I'm going to boycott the NFL till he gets a job. Just talk about the police brutality he wants you to talk about. Just focus your energy on that. And then he's got to die. The first one through the door always takes the bullets. They always die. I know, poor analogy, but it's the one we've been given before the police brutality was even an issue. That's always been an issue. That's been the analogy since guns. So actually,
since doors.
Actually, there's probably been murder of minorities since guns. That's probably what they were invented for.
Oh, Jesus. Which is why we have to have this conversation.
We need to take over this country faster. Ooh, thanks, gun. So, but I guess my point is like, I just think that it's an ineffective burn of calories. It's an inability to just recognize the harsh realities of life and society and just being a human being in general, that sometimes someone is brave enough to do it and they might lose stuff for it. But why were they willing to risk that? Because they thought it was that important. How do you honor his thought of the import of that decision?
Yeah.
Talk about the thing he wanted to talk about, not about him losing a job he was probably going to only do for 3 more years anyways.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's interesting because I'm like, well, do we boycott the NFL? And it's like, well, yeah, for lots of reasons, but not for the, like, I get what you're saying. I think that's really smart of like, he did this not to be Colin Kaepernick, infamous person who protested. You know what I mean? Like, it was to raise raise awareness is such an overused term at this point, but like, it was brave.
Start a conversation.
Engage the audience with this issue. No, like what he did was so brave. I think that I think we have talked about it. Like think he's an American fucking hero for doing this. And like that to me is what the flag represents, is being able to do that. And there's such a, I mean, there's so much just racism involved in these conversations, I think nationally, that's had about this. Um, it reminded me of, you know, when Irma was happening and there was that story about how like looters who are white are seen as like survivalists. They're just surviving. And when they're black, they're
opportunists and
looters.
yeah.
Like, and so there just has been all this language around like it's un-American. This protest is un-American, and it's like any protest I think is American just
Totally.
by the innate nature of it, right?
For
Especially
sure.
when it's like calling out a militarized police, right? Like that's important, even if you don't agree with him. Like again, and like we've defended people we don't agree with who are using their right to do that. So like,
In fact, we've talked about many times how we think that that's very important. At least I have.
yeah,
I guess I won't speak for you. I think
no,
again,
me
like
too, yeah.
I always thought, like I said, when I was younger, it was always the big thing was like the ACLU is the group that like protects the Nazis' right to march, even though they hate them because we gotta protect that. Once we take away someone's rights, it lose everyone. So
I
blah,
just,
blah.
and I think that there is enough, like, how you react to that. Like, I think, and this won't happen, but I think there's a lot of internal examination that needs to happen. Like, how did you react to him kneeling, or he sat first? I think he kneeled during the military ready game. And he wanted to show, this is why I think he's such a brave we don't want to say hero anymore, but like such a brave American in this, you know, because he's like, I want to respect these military men, but like I still can't, that doesn't mean I'm willing to stand, so I will kneel to be more respectful, right? But I think that there's some internal examination of like, why is it, are you like that with anyone who like demeans the flag or doesn't, you know, or
Or is
like
it because
any,
he's black?
is it
And
because
it's
he's
about black
black? Is
issues.
it, you know, is this like, there are a lot of people who are against the government, but they're white, and so they're seen as freedom leader. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, where does that racism lie? And like
They're just
and in
libertarians.
sports, I think it's just there a lot anyway. I mean,
Yeah. I guess I just think to me the thing I would say to people that are upset about him not having a quarterback job, it's just like
a quarterback job.
it's just it's just all right, so what's your beef? This is what I say. What's your beef? Is your beef that you want men who protest um, minority oppression through kneeling during the anthem, you want them to be able to have NFL jobs without bias? All right, well, it's like we said, so far, only one person possibly has been denied an NFL job because of that specific type of protest against that specific type of thing. So far, there are dozens that still have jobs while doing that protest. So again, if your point is like no one should be stopped from having a job because of kneeling during the anthem, well, you've already won that because only one has out of dozens who haven't. You know what I mean? So to me, it's a fight that you know what I mean? It's a fight you've already won in a way. Like again, people are kneeling, not getting fired, not having problems staying on a team. One was, and it's pretty obvious why he was. He was the first to do it. That happens, but again, it's not an epidemic, and so there's no need to protect kneelers because they're not being persecuted. Just this one, and like I said, when you really rationalize it, like he'll be fine. It sucks. And that's not to say it doesn't suck, but it's to say like if it sucks, but we talk about what he wants us to talk about. It sucked for all the right reasons, and it sucks way less when that happens. You mitigate the suck.
Would you kneel during the anthem or like sit?
No.
Why?
It's like fucking weird for me, but it's almost out of respect to him, to Colin Kaepernick.
That's interesting. Why?
I know it sounds almost backwards, but it's just how I feel, and I think it's something about the anthem specifically. I love this country so much, but it's like you said, like I love this country for people like Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah.
Like, and again, then like I said, it's not like just him. Because then it's like becomes like, what do you stand for if all you stand for is criticizing the country you live in? And it's like there's plenty of things I love about it, and it's not that I love the fact that he's critiquing it, even though I happen to agree with his critiques.
Yeah.
It's the fact again, like we don't. I mean, you have a country like North Korea where the leader dies, and if you don't cry enough, they shoot you in the streets. Where you're allowed to look at your own flag, listen to your own anthem, and take a knee or stand or leave your hat on, take it off, or walk out, or not sing or cry over it, or giggle during it. And he's choosing to do something. It doesn't matter what it is, he's doing what he wants because of the freedom he has to do it. And so it's, do I happen to agree with his stance? Do I happen to, you know, feel that the freedom to protest is important? Totally. Yes and yes. But it's just the fact that we live in a country where you can do whatever the fuck you want. It's so goddamn, it's
Beautiful.
just, sometimes it's mind-blowingly beautiful that I have to stand. I respect it so much. But it's like, I'm standing for you to kneel. That's how I feel. Like, and I'm not saying that I'm better than you. I don't mean it like that.
No,
Like,
I know.
you, because then that's when you get in the shitty people. The shitty people are like, I do this so you can do that, which means you shouldn't do it. What the fuck? You're dumb. I'm saying, like, I'm saying that's my little thing. Because I think that's, I'm not demeaning him. I think that's how he'd say it. He's like, this is my little thing. I'm on TV, and if I can kneel, and if that makes one person kind of question the thing or bring awareness to this thing, that's the little thing I can do. And so I'm saying, all right, I like this guy. What's the little thing I can do for him? What's the little thing? It doesn't matter what side you think of the thing. If you don't think of it as everything, you're the problem. It doesn't matter left, right. It means I'm standing for the troops and the people that protest the war.
Right.
Equally.
Yeah.
Equally. Because I'm not one of those people that's like, the military sucks. I'm one of those people that says the military industrial complex sucks. But there's individual soldiers that are beautiful men and women.
Yeah.
And the same thing. There are plenty of protesters that just hate their dad and want to break some fucking windows. But there are plenty of protesters that see their country and love it so much that they demand better, like the healthiest of healthy relationships where you demand better of your partner. And I think that's what he's doing. He's like, I see love in his eye. I see the want that his country, he wants better of it.
Yeah.
And he's strong enough to say, I won't take it if you don't make that change. So I stand for all of them.
That's what I feel when I read these arguments. Like, you are disrespecting the people who sacrificed everything for you to have this career, this life, this flag. That's what that means. And to me, I'm like, Colin Kaepernick sacrificed himself too for that flag. To me, that's what that represents. Maybe not with a bullet, you know what I mean? But like, he sacrificed, like, this will forever be what he's remembered for. Do you know what I mean? And just like the heat that he's had to take for it. I know that's different from like going to fight for a flag, right? Or like an ideal, a country, of people. I get that. But like, to me, I see him as like a soldier for freedom. Like, and that is what that flag represents. That's what they died for. Like, I think, yeah, I totally agree with you. And I think the same thing. I would stand because it's like, I love this country because it allows people like Colin to do that, or like, and me to protest in my own way, or it creates that freedom. And I think it was really smart too to like see, not smart, but just like I said, brave and impactful. Like, it was impactful. I think that was really great to see, especially now. I think in a culture where it's so just fucking structured and like what's the word I'm like for, contrived with the outside personalities that we present, and like so thought out, you know what I mean, to do something that was such a risk and so not a pre-typed press release about a celebrity, you know what I mean? Like, it just felt so raw because that anger and hurt is so raw. Like, it felt right. And I'm with him. Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's
all right.
I
have one last question.
Yeah.
So this idea of like boycotting the NFL, are there any other things that you like boycott or don't buy, or like, you know what I mean? Like, with your money, like you vote with your money thing? No,
not really.
I find myself doing it in like weird ways, but like ways that I know I'm sort of being tricked into doing. I don't know. Like, we needed dish soap the other day, and I was like, there's so many options, and I'm like, I'll just buy Dawn because I guess they clean animals. I don't know. Also, I don't eat at McDonald's.
But that's not like boycotting.
I know, but like,
that's being susceptible to
no,
advertising.
but I think right. But I think boycotting.
Wait, why will you not eat at McDonald's?
Because it's McDonald's. I just think the factory farming's gross.
Yeah, but that's like all meat.
I know, and I'm really conflicted about the meat that I eat.
That's why I don't do it, because it all seems fruitless.
But no,
Basically, I think about it for a second, and I come to every realization
boycotting
I
though.
just
Don't
threw
make
at
fun
you.
of my like.
I didn't make fun of
I
anything.
think that you vote with your money, certainly. So
I don't think
like
that's crazy,
buying
but
Dawn is fine. It's not a boycott, but
it's a vote for a duck on a bottle
on a duck
instead of
on a
not a
bottle, a
duck on a
cute
bottle.
little duck. Yeah, that's what they need.
Well, that's why I'm drinking Miller, because they stopped their beer brewing to bottle water during hurricane crises.
Also, I'm boycotting the NFL. All
You
right.
just,
I just
that's
never watch
dude,
it
like
anyway.
that's why I like last fucking rant, because like, I'll give these fucking like bro, how dare you military, and also I do not know why the anthem is synonymous with military. It's the
Right.
whole
It's the
country.
whole country.
You're
Yeah.
saluting the country
Yeah.
that encompasses everyone in it. I don't know why that's the military's
I
thing,
know.
but that's why. That's this fucking shitty ass fucking country. Oh, where it's just like, that's the thing. It's like, how do we let the fucking government and these deep state programs like the CIA and the FBI and all these federal agencies under barely any supervision just coerce these fucking dumb people into fucking equating fucking country with military? That's fascist fucking military industrial complex scary bullshit, that
Yeah.
our country is the military, our military is the country. It's like, it's a job in the country that has many facets that let it thrive. And that's my whole point. Oh, you don't respect the troops? They're down for. Yeah, I respect them, but the same way I respect like the farmer that lost a finger so I can eat corn, or the fucking Google coder that spent spent fucking 72 hours on a fucking Ritalin binge so I could fucking fucking have a Facebook group with you that we can run this goddamn podcast off. You know what I mean? Like, everyone contributes.
Right.
I don't know why the
Well,
troops get exclusive rights to that.
Totally.
It doesn't mean they get no rights, but why do they get the only rights?
Right. And why they don't have emotional claim to a flag. Like, it's not like this is for them and you should really be standing to respect them. No, that's mine too. It's mine too. And like, I am so sick of this idea. Like, anytime I hear the word un-American, I cringe, because it's like, ugh, what are we calling that now? You know what I mean? It's sort of like real people, like real America lives in rural America. Like, that's not fair or true. That's not, we're all real American. If you're an American, you're a real American. Like, why do we put people on a
That's
higher
the point.
pedestal?
If you're
of what
American, you're
is?
American.
Yeah.
And that's my whole point. You're saying, like, you're protesting America.
Yeah.
And so if you have, even if it's just one problem, which, I mean, I don't know if he has other problems with America, but he has this one specific one he wants to talk about.
And it's a huge problem.
So that's the point, is he's saying, like, I have this problem with America. This song's about America. I just don't think it's the flag is a symbol. The song is a symbol. The kneel is symbolic.
Yeah.
So he's not saying, like, he's not physically turning in his passport and being like, I resound my citizenship. It's symbolic, dummies. He's saying this is symbolic of a feeling I have. If this country, because the country, the country's not a real thing.
Yeah.
The country's an idea created with man-made borders, right? Like, it's not real. It's arbitrary borders, an arbitrary symbol, and a country is arbitrary. We named it this arbitrary name, United States of America. It's just a grouping of sounds that come together to form words that we created. It's all arbitrary. It's symbols. And then he says, I'm going to make my own symbol to say, I'm going to protest this symbol with my symbol to bring awareness to this actual issue.
Yeah.
And then everyone's like,
to
it's like,
real
no,
lives in the street, right?
I don't know how you can get mad. It's all theater to address real things. But again, left and right, liberal, conservative, mad at him, proud of him, whichever you are, if you're not talking about the issue that he's using symbolism to address, you're doing him a disservice.
Like so us now?
No, because, no, the opposite of what we're doing now. It's the dummies on Facebook, like, that, like, if he can't get on the NFL, I can't watch it. It's like, first of all, dummy, I know you never watched a fucking game in your life, so stop acting like you've done something brave.
That's not who. I haven't seen people doing that. I've seen
people doing that. Or, like I said, or it's just like,
calling him un-American.
I haven't heard you talk about the issue he's brought up at all.
Mm.
Or I've seen you, again, fucking ramble about it on fucking Twitter, but not actually do a thing, you know?
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Well, and that's what I like your point about, like, you can see, like, he's doing this because he loves the country, not because he hates it. Like, that's why, he says, like, I'm not going to stop doing this until I think that this symbol represents what the symbol is supposed to represent.
And like,
And to do that, we have to take
and it's
action.
just like so many issues, and you just can't act like it doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter if you think it's again, it's like you don't have to agree with something to get it. You don't. And the fact is a big thing because we live in Chicago, and Jay Cutler used to play quarterback for the Bears, and he was not very good, and kind of people in the city didn't love him. And then I can't remember if he got dropped and picked up or got traded, but either way, he plays for the Dolphins now. And everyone's like, if Jay Cutler can play for the Dolphins and they won't pick up Colin Kaepernick, something's wrong with football. Racism, I'm boycotting the NFL, even though I never watched a game in my life, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, dude, Colin Kaepernick famously wore a T-shirt with Fidel Castro on it. Miami is mostly made up of Cubans. They hate Fidel Castro. He's like their Hitler. Like, he's a murderous dictator that made them flee their country. Like, so again, this guy takes big political swings, big social swings, and sometimes they don't work out. Like, again, would you say that a Cuban in Miami that wouldn't want to go to a Dolphins game because someone that wore a Fidel Castro T-shirt is now the quarterback of the team, would you say that Cuban is racist? So is it just racism? Is just he's black, he's standing for his rights, and that's why he's not on a team? And it's like, and honestly, I don't even know if that's why the Dolphins didn't pick him up either. Again, it's these people that don't watch football. Do you not realize him and Jay Cutler are totally different types of quarterbacks? Maybe it's based on the offense they want to run. Maybe they need someone that's more pocket stable as opposed to someone that's mobile. Again, there's so many factors. It's like, shut up and talk about the thing he risked his career for, you fucking jackals.
Okay, let's move on.
Topic 2.
Topic 2. This is yours. Go for it.
So this podcast one day may be replaced by a drunk Justin robot and a little sober Jackie robot.
I am Jackie.
Hello, I am Justin.
I do not drink.
Input rant. Hello, rant.
Sex robot.
Jackie, input point. Justin, input anger. No, but so
Justin, interrupt.
I found this really cool story. Interrupt function engaged. So I found this pretty cool story on Wired.com. It's called "What News Writing Bots Mean for the Future of Journalism," and it kind of starts off talking about how basically the Washington Post used this system called heliograph. Actually, I think they use something different. Basically, but they use basically AI. Artificial intelligence powered computer programs. It wasn't heliograph for the Iowa. That first part of the story.
Yeah.
So the Washington Post, which is a major newspaper, used this program Heliograph, which is like an artificial intelligence kind of powered computer program that you give it a headline, you give it like input data, like poll data, or just like a big source of data from whatever you want to talk about, and then you kind of give it a template with some kind of jumping off points, and it kind of not artificially because the story's real. I guess it automatically generates a story.
Like written out, like with a tone of voice.
Yeah, like they can choose editorializing kind of slants, write it in voice for different demographics, and then post it to different sites.
Or like pull an interest. So like if you're locally you care more about how the Democrats did, they'll be looking for that data. Or you know what I mean? Like it's more, they can really personalize it to wherever the bot is like pulling from and who the audience is, which is super interesting.
And they used it for stories on the Rio Olympics. Like I said,
a lot of like election data.
Yeah, and that's polls. Kind of like, so I think I kind of wanted to talk to you about what you think of it and all that, but kind of just to address some of the big things that they address in the article is, obviously, especially, when we're hearing that fucking data may have affected the previous election, which that's a whole nother topic that I'm sure we could fight a lot about, but there definitely is this focus on news, right? Whether you think it's bullshit, not bullshit, you can't say it's not a factor worth talking about. I think that's something we could all agree on. So the fact is, now you hear this story that a lot of major publications are using artificial intelligence bots to create news stories, like
Right.
top to bottom. Not like writing the stories. With relatively limited parameters, just data and kind of a template, and
Yeah.
then they fill it all in. It's I think it's some people
Sort
they
of
hear
like
that
a structured narrative, right?
they hear newsbot and
Hell no.
they're
Fake
like
news.
fake news, right?
Yeah.
That's probably the first thing you thought when you saw the headline was
Well,
like
yeah,
fake news.
I mean, it did generate fake news once, right? Because sort of, some of these bots will like pull from what people are talking about on Twitter, or
that
like
was
who's
different.
talking about
that
it.
They were kind of using it as an example of why people would be scared, but why they
Yeah,
probably
the
shouldn't
story
be
was that
scared.
Megyn Kelly
was
was
fired.
fired,
But basically,
but
it wasn't
true.
the story wasn't written by a bot. They were talking about Facebook replaced the people that pick trending stories with bots, and they basically picked up on the story because it was trending, but it was a fake trending story. It was trending, but it was people sharing nonsense.
Thank you for the clarification.
So they were like, oh, the computer was like, this is a trending story.
And like that's sort of where the error of like bots come in, where it's like we need humans on that piece of it.
But I think, and you've been in the newsroom, and and you're just a human being, so I'd like your opinion.
Not a bot.
Not a bot yet.
Yet.
We'll automate this podcast eventually. I think we have pretty standard templates we could fill in.
We definitely have a narrative. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, we are important. But but my point is like, yeah, I think we all have those, and kind of preconceived fears when we hear bot, and especially news,
especially right now. Yeah.
There's just a lot of hot buttons, but I think what do you
trust?
think it seems like a great idea, and I think the way that this article kind of frames it kind of in that same way is saying that, like, first of all, there is going to be for the foreseeable future human oversight, right? The human kind of picks the parameters, picks the data sources to make sure those are reliable, and then double checks the work, or at least gives it a once over, and kind of make sure that where it's pulling all its data from is accurate. So you got that, and kind of chooses what parameters the computer controls and what parameters like the human fills in additional points or whatever. So or at least checks those points. So it's controlled, and probably will be for the foreseeable future, by at least some human oversight. And also, it's really a lot of stuff that, like I said, like if you are like when we're following the primaries, the Republican and Democratic primaries, right? Let's say like there was a Iowa caucus or whatever for the Dems. You wanted to know Bernie or Hillary, right? You type it into Google, you go to whatever site, New York Times or whatever. I mean, it's just saying like, there's no editorializing, there's no color. It's just Hillary won by 50 votes, and if Bernie loses the next state, he has this percentage of chance of winning.
What journalism says it is.
Right. Experts say that this will give him a 60% chance, and he has, but the we think the voter turnout's going to be higher because this thing happened. So it's kind of already very, very fact based. So again, if you just give a bot facts and you say, put them in this order, and you kind of know what an election story looks like. We have an election story template. You put the poll numbers first and the predictions at the bottom, and then kind of fill in the rest with the results. Then, like, I mean, it doesn't seem that scary. And then, sorry, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
No.
And I was just gonna say, like, it seems pretty it seems pretty lifeless anyways. So that's kind of, to use that word, like you're worried about a bot, but even when humans are doing this writing, it's pretty lifeless writing. It's pretty just like turning facts into sentences, creating a word problem out of math.
Well, I mean, I feel like our journalism has become content gathering. Like that's a lot of what this is. And this feels like basic inverted pyramid style journalism. Just the facts. Here's how, like you're saying, inverted pyramid means like most important news up top. People know what that is.
Means.
Okay, I didn't know if that was
I don't know if people do, but don't use me as the example. Say you can say listeners. If listeners don't know what that is, don't say, Justin, you might not know what that is because you're a big dumb dummy.
I think it's brilliant.
I'm a communications major. That's like journal. That's
people who couldn't hack it
journalism
in J school, went to comm
for
school.
people that
couldn't hack it in journalism.
Fucking don't need to take an extra
But
English
jokes
class to prove
ultimately on the
themselves.
journalist because there's no jobs and you don't make any money. But to that point, that's why I think it's so good because I think obviously it needs to be watched. Like it
I
needs
was
to
just thinking
be.
journalism versus communication. Poor people fight.
I know, right? But it obviously needs to be watched. But
Yeah.
the journalists I know are watchdogs. Like that's what they are hired to do. It's what they're savvy and passionate about is watching this sort of thing. Like I really think we're in good hands with this sort of thing with at least journalists I know and media. They get a bad rap, but like reporters are on this, right? And I think that the newsroom has just died. Like it is, I was a journalism major in '04 to '08, and like my internship in '07 at a national political magazine in DC had just fired its investigative team in '07 because they didn't have the resources for it. So we
But
were
that's kind of what I was going to talk
well,
about.
hold on.
Okay.
Yeah, so we were losing those stories because we don't have the money to pay for those people. So this is doing the grunt work basically.
Right.
They're making content, right? So like this content needs to go up anyway. People are interested in it. You need content for your site, right? You need more than ever before, and you have to do it with less humans. This takes some of that work, and it's
Especially
also
like it
it's
seems
pulling
like,
out trends for you, which is
yeah.
so helpful. Like that would be a week's worth of work for me as a journalist, is like looking through these numbers and trying to pull out a trend or like what's the angle, what's the story, how can we cover this? Like those bots like alert you like, hey, fact here, like we're noticing a trend with this or this, and like that's when where journalism really excels when it's not an inverted pyramid. Like, can we investigate this? Can we turn it into a magazine piece? Can we look at the bigger picture
Well,
of
that's what I'm
this?
saying.
That's where the humans come
Do
in.
you I think it'll be great for, I think this is the best thing happened in a long time because it's that means everything that is just a boring fact-based story will have the most accurate and precisely organized facts without much bias. I think when they say they add an editorial voice, it's just to make it a little more interesting and
That's
less
just to make it
robotic.
sound human, I think.
Right, but not I don't think it means slanted when it says
Right.
editorial. So we'll have the least biased, most precise, most expertly organized facts ever, and we'll have a newsroom because we're like we only got a newsroom with 5 people, and it's
Right.
like okay, but now in the next 5 years, if that, all those 5 people can look into you know things like the Catholic school or the Catholic priest sex scandal, which was broken by a newspaper.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
movie
Yeah.
Spotlight was about that. So, and those, like you said, those are the departments. Those are the departments that are dying. And again, people are worried like, well, hey, all these special interests are going to come in and take over these city governments because all local reporting is dying. But a big thing that this bot system is replacing is local reporting because you just don't have the manpower to just cover tons of little
I
elections
know.
locally. But this bot now can give you fact based, well organized, clear stories on every single local election and then automatically shoot that out to the channels where if you live in that area you're more likely to see it. Like it just
And in fact, instead of taking jobs, I think this could create jobs because now those investigative people, with those skill sets to like see those numbers and dive into it deeper are available to do. You know what I mean? Like they don't have to cover these
well,
silly
but it's like
little
everything,
one-offs.
isn't it? I
Everything's
mean,
like everything.
it's like everything and shut up. It's like everything in terms of like, you know, there's a balance between cruelty,
Cruelty.
cruelty, and progress, right? And you really
Mm.
have to mitigate that, but also accept it and find that balance, which is that it's like, well, who's upset about bots coming in? Well, it's only people that are only in the newsroom because they're only skilled enough to gather facts and regurgitate them. So my point is like
That's not fair. I think that people are like worried about it because of bots
I
and the
think there's
affecting
some
the
I'm talking
election or
internally
like
though. That's external. I'm talking internally. In the newsrooms, those are the only people worried. My point is if there's 100 newspaper jobs and this bot takes away 50 of them,
mm,
who's worried? The worst 50 people in the newsroom. And that's why you said so I wouldn't say it's creating jobs. I would say it's opening up budgets to make sure that if you're in a newsroom, if you're working for a publication, not only are you great at what you do, but you're great at things that aren't grunt work, because now we got that grunt work covered. So you better have a skill that's exceptional in a more well-rounded, profound, important way.
I think that you can dig deeper now, right? So
Well,
someone's
yeah,
getting the
I
basic
think that's what
data.
I'm saying.
There's like a sieve, getting those out, and so then it frees up the time. Yeah, it frees up the budget and the time to dig deeper.
I think
stuff.
one of the examples they gave was, I can't remember the name of the guy, but they're like, we have this guy who's been covering politics for 25 years. We don't need him going through election results
It's
and
like
then
a
just
crime to like
turning
put him on
them
the
into a
story.
narrative.
Right. Yeah. And when I was reading this, I thought of I just want to watch this. I love American
Experience.
Yes, and I always get it mixed up with the Masters one because I usually watch them at the same time. But there was an American Experience about the subway system in New York and how it really struck me the people who are new technology is fucking scary. It's always scary. Like it's always been scary, and we laugh at them now. The movie goers who like thought the train was gonna come at them when they saw the first movie, when they saw the train coming at them on screen. Like we're like, haha, idiots. But like that would have been terrifying. And like this subway story, the documentary was like people were afraid of going underground. Like that's where hell was. That was for the souls. That was for dead people. Like you didn't go underground. Like this was really scary. And like I get the fear in this something like this, and like there's gonna be mistakes. There's gonna be things like, oh fuck, like this could have influenced our election, things like that. Like algorithms have to be watched. We have to watch AI. Like this, we need to be cognizant of what we're unleashing. But it's not like we set up the subways and then we're like, okay, now go. Trains, run yourself, right? Like it's always a mix of technology and human power, and humans are the ones in charge of it. And like I think this is exciting. I think that it opens doors for more journalists and
we're gonna be
better stories and more accurate stories. Like you said, I think there is a fear of fake news, and it is like who do I trust? My only concern is like what if like for example Breitbart or something gets a bot and then I guess it's like
you'll
the
trust
data.
it just as much as you trust them before, though. That's the whole point. It's held up to the same.
I don't trust them.
That's what I just said. So my point is like the Washington Post gets a bot. Well, I feel like you trust the Washington Post bot as much as you trusted them. If you thought they were fair with stories before, why would they get an unfair bot to write unfair stories at this point?
Was it the Globe?
Boston Globe.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I don't know if it was the Globe. I know it was in Boston though.
Okay. So. All right. Good stuff.
Yeah. So
cool story.
Not only is it going to be okay, it's going to be better.
I want to check out.
It's going to be way better.
It's going to be like a subway. We're going to be like, how do we live this out? I mean, we just like pummeled ourselves through 5 states today in a metal magic bullet. Like, technology is cool. Like, I don't want to ever be afraid of it. Okay, let's move on. Topic 3.
You should. It's only good. Technology is
science is God.
Well, what do you? Technology is it's I don't know. It's not. I can't. It's benign. Technology is benign. People are awful.
Well, yeah. Technology is not the ones with an emotion, right?
We are that the scientific the ability to turn a stick into a knife, turn clay into a bowl, turn heat into fire. I mean, that part of our brain has evolved exponentially, but the part that feels empathy and sees each other as one has been a lot slower to evolve, and maybe
we're working on it.
It may be, I think, unfortunately, stuck in a stasis, and I think that might be the unfolding of the human race. But hey, hopefully it'll catch up.
But there will be lots of news stories about our decline.
And until
perfectly reported, accurate.
Until then, you have
specific
to. You just have to embrace technology, because technology always makes things better, and you just gotta hope that people catch up to the point that they will only use it as such.
I think when you're not afraid of it, you're able to address the fact that like it can go bad. Like so we need to be watching it and staying on top of it, and that means
but that's the point. You don't need to watch it. You need to watch people who have it. Yep.
That's funny. All right, let's move on. Topic 3. Let's talk about the Emmys. So they happened tonight. Handmaid's Tale won for best drama.
Ooh.
What were the other big headlines? Stephen Colbert, they made it very political, and there were lots of jabs at Trump, and people are very upset on Facebook about how political these elitist Hollywood types are.
Is there just, at this point, is there any lower form of humor than making fun of Donald Trump?
But so I just want to talk about Elizabeth Moss.
Is there, though? Just answer that. Is there any lower form of humor?
I mean, like fart and dick jokes. That's always low.
Gallagher smashing a pumpkin is more intelligent and more brave than making fun of Donald Trump in September of 2017.
Anyway,
You're worse than Carrot Top if you do a Donald Trump is like dumb or has weird hair or has orange skin joke.
I mean, why do you like not appreciate that but appreciate someone? I feel like I'm not like defending it. I'm just saying I don't know if I have an opinion on what you're asking, but like why is Colin Kaepernick using his they're fucking different, but like why is Colin Kaepernick using his like fame basically and like position to make a statement? Why are you accepting of that? But
comedy
not of,
isn't
like,
a
Hollywood?
Statement. Comedy is entertainment. Making fun of
Well,
Donald
that's what
Trump.
they think it is entertaining. The Emmys are entertaining.
Then you are not only is the person saying it the lowest bar for comedy, you're the lowest bar for being entertained. People that if you laugh at Trump jokes in September of 2017, if you seek them out, if you seek programming that you think will have them, you have less of an entertainment bone than people that watch reruns of Big Bang Theory on TNT.
What do you think we should be watching then, Mr.
Literally
Comedy?
anything else.
Well,
literally
like,
anything else.
Like Veep, it won for comedy.
If you think Alec Baldwin's impersonation of Donald Trump
he won tonight.
was hilarious,
He won tonight.
after the second time, I laughed at the first time I saw it. Second time, I'm like, he's doing it pretty well. The third time, I was like, anyone who's enjoying it after this point, I don't trust your comedic sensibilities at all.
I think it's
I don't really even trust your entertainment sensibilities.
Oh, no. Well, glad we're doing an entertainment podcast together.
You don't like it. You don't watch the Colbert Show. You didn't watch the Emmys. I mean, I know we're talking about it. We're talking about TV.
I think
you
so,
don't
but
seek
I
that
thought
out.
I did think what's his name? Alec Baldwin was funny every time.
Every time.
Yeah.
Every time.
And I think Kate what's McKinnon is fucking hilarious.
Yeah, it's Hillary
And
Clinton. That's different.
Why is that different?
Because there's a lot of nuance to making fun of Hillary Clinton, or not even necessarily directly making fun of her, but like impersonating her. I'm not saying that you can't stay on an issue.
You just think Donald Trump is too easy of a target?
I'm saying you can't lampoon an issue at length or multiple times. I'm not saying like you can only lampoon an issue 3 times or you're a hack. I'm just saying like you're making fun of the same things. Like, I mean, again, how many times has his hair and orange skin and like how many times has that been made fun of? Like, why would you say that? It's been said thousands of times. Thousands of times.
I don't know what their jokes were.
Doesn't matter if that's in the setup or punchline.
Okay, well, I didn't want to. This was not my question.
How much originality does that lack? How much? I'm telling like comedy.
I mean, he's our president though, and he's still being a nightmare.
But
so like,
comedy,
why is it weird to still want to
because
make fun of him?
men and women are still different. But how many times has the form of comedy been mocked by someone going like, I'm a stand-up. Men and women are different. Essentially mocking the fact that like, all right, if you're doing a joke about how men and women are different and you don't really get deep on that kind of issue, you're being pretty hacked. So that's my whole point. If you're making fun of Donald Trump's hair, you're doing what has been mocked in other forms, but you're doing like an even worse version of it.
Okay. So my question was.
But I'm just saying, like, again, like that's the thing. Like, entertainment isn't politics. It isn't religion. It isn't social awareness or justice or protest. It's entertainment. It's only that.
But like,
it's
if
only
some people are
that.
still
It's
being,
nothing
if people
else.
are still being entertained by it, like
that's fine. But I'm saying again,
I don't know why
people
you're so
are
angry
also
about this.
entertained by Gallagher. People are also entertained by Carrot Top. And people are also entertained by Two Broke Girls. And anytime people are entertained by those things, we mercilessly mock those people's ability to understand quality entertainment and appreciate entertainment with any substance. And I'm saying anyone who presented Donald Trump humor at the Emmys, anyone who laughed at it, and anyone who made a specific uh, 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 a specific plan to watch it because they thought they might see that, you also have a low bar, a low expectation, and a low IQ for humor and quality entertainment. And we say that about people all the time. So it's not like I'm breaking new ground. It's just, it's those people. People will watch Trump jokes for the thousandth time and laugh and think they're edgy, but someone will watch Two Broke Girls like, oh my God, so dumb, and you're dumb, and it's dumb, and it's dumb. It's like, you're also dumb. You're just as bad as Jeff Dunham fans, but you're worse because you don't think you are.
Okay. You heard it here first. You're dumb.
You could call it the white collar comedy tour. That's what it is. It's literally just the flip version, but also on the bad side of the same coin.
So do you feel that way about if if people talk in a speech about against his policies, or
No,
like
that's fine.
it's just the
like
comedy?
I mean, but what kind of speech? You mean like a politician? You mean like if a politician?
I'm saying like say you're an actress and you win an award and you talk about how fucked up Donald Trump is being. Like,
why do I care what you think?
Well,
you're an actress.
Why
do I care?
Why does the actress care what you think? She can.
I don't care what anyone cares.
I think.
How many times have we made it a point of noting that this is an entertainment podcast, not a news podcast? Like, we're giving our opinions, but we're always cognizant to frame our opinions in an entertaining way.
Sometimes.
If you want to laugh, if you want to burn an hour on the way to work, if you want to burn an hour on the way home, if you want to burn an hour on the treadmill, if you want a little escapism, if you want to hate me, you want to hate Jackie, you want to love us both, you want to do whatever, tune in. We're happy to have you, and we try to make this thing as entertaining as it can be every single week for you. If you're going to go vote, if you're going to go choose a protest, if you're going to go vote with your wallet, this podcast. Listen to NPR, listen to BBC, listen to PBS.
Listen to your local bot.
Listen to your local news bot. Seriously. And that's what I'm saying. So that's my point, is like, you won an award for pretending to run away from lasers, right? I'm sure there's someone that's like, my job is to look at a tennis ball and pretend it's a dragon, and here's how I think the United States should organize its healthcare policy. And it's like, don't care. Don't care. And the point is, are you saying actors are stupid? I'm saying they might be smart. They might be stupid. I'm saying they've given me no proof to either. So take your golden statue, you child, and walk off stage. We're giving grown people little statues and saying, you did great. That's the person I want an opinion from about who I should pick to run the world.
Okay.
I hope you don't vote.
Oh, man. Well, this was a fun topic.
Fun topic.
Fun topic. Topic 3. Okay, cool. I just wanted
to
wanted to see if you liked Handmaid's Tale.
It's a good show. I thought it was a little slow, but I'm excited to see what they do with season 2.
Well, my question was,
I thought it was a solid B+ program.
Were there any shows you watched this past year that you would like?
Can I ask you one question? I really want to break this down, but I promise we'll give extra time to what you really wanted to talk about.
I don't want extra time. I want to wrap it
up. Do you judge people in any way for the kind of entertainment they like? The books they read, the shows they watch, the music they... Okay, so that's all I'm saying. I'm just saying that I do it. I think we as a society does it. I don't
think it's always judgmental. It's more just like, I want to know who I will get along with. You know what I mean? Or like who will be interested in the same... No, I don't mean that like politically. I just mean like, are you interested in the same things? Like, did you love Margaret Atwood's book? Is that why you're excited for Handmaid's Tale? Oh my God, let's hang out and like talk about it. I'm excited to talk about it.
I get that.
Like, it's like a judgy, like for the sake of like friendship versus... I do judge people for their terrible taste in things.
Okay, but my point is, I say, I got a friend John. John went to see Creed in concert. He loves the brand Creed. What do you think of John?
I mean, I don't know. I feel like I've been judged for my music taste, so I'm not gonna judge him. But like, yeah,
Oh,
I
come
get,
on.
I fucking get
You
what,
get what I'm
Justin, I
saying.
get what you're saying. Yes.
And Society, again, Dave Matthews Band.
Yeah.
Again, Two Broke Girls.
Nickelback.
Nickelback. There's probably books. I don't know. I feel like even 50 Shades of Grey a little bit. That was
Stephen
kind
King.
of
People are
Stephen
like,
King. Yeah.
that's. I mean, I feel like his cred is raised
His
in the
credit's right.
literary
But I
community.
get what you
but,
mean. Like,
yeah.
there's stuff, right? There's
Mhm.
clearly stuff.
Yeah.
But so again, I just don't know. I just don't know how it became acceptable to continue to make the same Donald Trump joke over and over again. And no one critiques you for having a poor sense of humor or entertainment or originality. No one critiques the artist. No one critiques the people consuming it willfully. I don't know how that
I
got.
mean, I don't think that's true. I think there are a lot of people critiquing it. A lot of people on Facebook right now are saying exactly what you're saying.
Not because they don't agree with it. Not because they like Donald Trump. Not because, like, don't make fun of my president. Not that. Just, again, not politics, entertainment. Don't like Donald Trump. Not defending Donald Trump.
What would you rather?
Defending comedy.
Can I just ask?
Defending quality comedy.
Can I just ask, like, what would make you watch the Emmys? Like, if you knew it was like
Any
new.
fucking thing. You're actors. Do fucking little skits. Something. Remember when the Emmys used to be like, what was it a few years ago where they had like the Breaking Bad characters come into like a scene of The
I
Office?
think that was the Oscars. No, it had to have been the Emmys.
Yeah, because it's TV.
Yeah.
It was like, they had Jesse and Walt come into like a scene from The Office, shot like real office-y, and
Okay.
it was hilarious.
Okay.
Do that. You're
Okay,
actors. It was funny.
Justin,
You're actors.
Okay, that's fine, but like, don't look at those list of nominees. It's political TV shows inspired by the climate of this country right now that is social justice.
The
politics.
Handmaid's Tale. What other one? House of Cards, but that was a political show that started in the Obama administration. Look, I'll write you. Like, let's look at just drama series. This Is Us, The Crown, Westworld, Handmaid's Tale. But that was based on a book written way before Donald Trump. It was about religious.
This Is Us, The Crown, Westworld. All those have political undertones.
What's The Crown about?
The Queen.
Okay, but that's not Donald Trump. And The Handmaid's Tale is about religious theocracy. Donald Trump say 1 Corinthians. He said like 1 Corinthians or whatever. You know what I mean? House of Cards came out during the Obama administration. It's based on
Beep is very political.
But you know what I mean? Like, let's see. Like, better. You do a little parody where Better Call Saul comes in.
But Justin, even
comes in and visits Frank Underwood
I disagree.
to discuss how he can get out of a problem.
I disagree with you on that point, but like even more so, like you cannot deny that like the culture this past year has been political. Like it's all been political. Like why wouldn't they talk about politics and like make jokes about it?
Well, then can you make a new one?
Have you even
That's the whole point.
watched it? You don't even know what their joke was. Like I just like get so mad that you have. This
I will
strong
take everything in this apartment.
You have this strong of an opinion for something
I will
you haven't even watched
everything
yet.
in this apartment. I will sell it on eBay. I will go to the bank. I will empty the checking account.
Don't sell my shit.
I will take everything I can. I
And
will
I
turn
get to
everything I
decorate
own.
everything?
Let me finish. I'll turn everything I own into cash. I will bet you that there's one Donald Trump hair joke, one Donald Trump fake news joke, and one Donald Trump skin is orange joke. And I will win that money. I'll buy everything back, and I'll split the half of the other cash winnings with you.
Okay.
And put it back in our bank account. I know what it is. You can say I didn't watch it. That's why I don't watch it, because I already know what it is. It was barely funny the first time. It's embarrassing to the craft of entertainment the fucking thousandth.
Okay.
All right, so what shows do you like this season? No, let's talk real quick. I want to know what you like. I know we watch a lot of TV together, but I want to see what you're creeping on when you're in your alone time.
I'm so excited Handmaid's Tale won, and like
it was a good show. I thought it was a solid B+. I just thought it never touched on A for me. But when it was good, and if they do a season 2, I'm excited to see what they do with it.
I love Sherlock too. Have I made you watch that with me?
No,
Oh,
I think
don't
I watched
you'd like
one
it,
episode
actually.
while I think I watched one episode while you were watching it.
Yeah,
I didn't
it's
like.
not for you.
I
But
you just like sexy little
my
British boys doing sexy little British things.
no, that's not true at all. I don't think they're sexy. I think, although yeah,
Mm,
Benedict, yeah, I do think he's sexy.
See,
The story is so good and so well told. It's so interesting. But I wanted to, Elizabeth Moss. I do. Have you seen The Americans? Like that's a really good show. But Elizabeth Moss,
how far have you watched it through?
just the first season. I
Oh,
haven't.
maybe we should watch it together.
Yeah, we
Because
should
I've heard
watch it
it's
together.
good.
It's really good. But so Elizabeth Moss, I fucking love her. Peggy, Miss Peggy. But so she won for Handmaid's Tale. But I recently started watching. I don't even remember the name of the show. What's the show? Her,
Who's
Top of the Lake. Is that
who?
Top of the Lake? The TV show that Elizabeth Moss is in. It's
Oh,
not nominated for anything.
yeah.
Like I'm just like bouncing off of her. I started watching that, and I'm only a couple episodes in, but it's fucking good. It's so good. So if you're on an Elizabeth Moss kick and need a suggestion, go watch that. It's on Hulu. They just released a new season, but season 1's on there, and it's pretty solid. Any recommendations? You love Veep.
Veep won for comedy series. It looks like
I know,
right.
it's awesome.
It is.
So good.
I think it's the funniest thing on TV since Always Sunny, which I know is still airing technically, but like the way that hit me, like, god damn, there's a fucking new king of like again, like you have your Louis and you have your I mean, even if you look at this list, like Master of None, even Atlanta, honestly, there's shows like
Atlanta's so good. Yeah.
but there's shows like that that are like a mix of comedy and drama, which have their own place. All those shows I just named, I loved Louis, Master of None, Atlanta, even like I'd say even Broad City, like Second City, it gets a little weird. So I think that's closer to laugh out loud funny, but I think sometimes shows just really go for being fucking funny.
And Veep is one of
And
them.
I'm not saying that's like the only thing, but I think that's an important category for someone to be nailing at all times in some form of media, especially TV. And I think Always Sunny did it, and honestly continues to do it. But like, I was looking for a new show to like
Just
to
be
share
funny.
to share in that fucking crown, and Veep is just fucking funny.
Yeah.
It has a storyline, but it's barely important. I mean, it threads through. I'm not saying it's not well written. It threads through. The storyline does, but it's really just a service giving these characters to be in more outrageous situations, to say more outrageous stuff. It's just fucking funny. Watch that shit if you haven't.
We should watch more of it together. I love Buster Bluth too. I think, and that's basically his character. So on this show also.
Yeah, he's great.
So
I'd
funny.
watch that. I think Silicon Valley is again. I think it's funny. I think it's I think Office Space was great. I think I didn't love King of the Hill, but I know enough people that do to say that it's great. I thought Beavis and Butthead was great, but then like I thought Idiocracy was a good idea that was executed in a way that wasn't hilarious, but it was a funny idea. Like if you tell someone the premise of Idiocracy, you're like, that's pretty funny and that's like a pretty astute observation about America. But the movie itself wasn't funny and that's why it wasn't a hit. You see Extract. I get what you were doing, but it wasn't great. This is like Mike Judge coming back and being as funny as he was on like the thing he did for cubicle office environments and office space is what he's doing to Silicon Valley in Silicon Valley. Like he's fucking,
Nice.
it's beautiful satire that's funny and good story and just, taking characters based on kind of normal just folk and making it funny. Like the characters in this show are really not that outrageous. The comedy exists on just their normality in a world that's weird without recognizing it. There's just so much weirdness in Silicon
It's like
Valley.
the opposite of Veep.
Yeah, there's so much weirdness in the Silicon Valley environment that like no one addresses because they're just in it. The same way that there's just these people in this office in office space that don't recognize like this is
weird.
fucking dumb and weird, and there's these social norms that exist only here that we've like let perpetuate that are so unhealthy and weird and toxic, but we're just all in it. So yeah, and I don't know. It's his best work yet, and it's like a back to form after some things that were fine. They weren't just complete flops, but they were just like, all right, does he have another one in him? Motherfucker
All
did.
right, Justin Golak bot approved comedy.
I approve.
There,
These
not
are the
the
shows that
Emmys.
are funny.
You have a low comedy IQ.
You know what's one we can maybe get to together,
What?
just to close out
Yeah.
on a tag
Well,
team.
I was ready to close out. Yeah.
Well, let's close out on a tag team. Ozark, right? I don't think that was on any of these
Ozark.
lists, maybe because it was like
Good
too new.
reco though.
I think it was
Good
too new.
recommendation.
But we watched that together,
Yeah.
and I know everyone's been talking.
Jason Bateman's
Everyone's been talking
killer.
about it, so I'm sure you've heard about it. But I feel like it hasn't gotten a lot of media buzz.
I
Where
think
everyone's probably had a friend that's been like, "You should watch this," but this is your media, your podcast media, pushing you over that edge. I've heard a lot about that. Just start watching it.
Ozark is such a great example of, so we've known for a while now that like TV needs to be filmed differently because of how we watch it now. We consume it all in one sitting. I mean, we watched Ozark in like 2 days. Like those are hour-long episodes. Like you watch it differently. That's how we want TV now. I think Ozark is like a prime example of like we're mastering it. We're mastering how that works and what that means and how to just like keep us addicted to watching it episode after episode after episode. It's so good. And like dark TV shows too, dark drama. So well done. I love Jason Bateman. I also love the girl Ruthie on that. I think she's so great. She's gonna be a star. Jackie Bot approved.
Jackie, about approved.
All right, you guys. If you want to see our non-bot content, you can go to lo-class.com. Give us a subscribe on iTunes, Podkicker, any of those platforms you listen to your podcasts on. Then we will just naturally be uploaded to your stream on Mondays. And I've been Jackie Manti. You can find me at jackiemanti.com. I've got some blogs up there and my writing and art website, mildlydepressed.com. There's lots of new stuff up there, super fun, but also sad. But like that's the beauty of it. And
Fun,
you
sad.
follow me on Twitter at Jackie_Manti. I'm also on Facebook as Jackie Manti Writer. Give me a like. Justin, what you got?
It's a fish. We teased it last week, but it's a fish.
It's a fish.
It's released.
It's literally
it's
a fish.
Out. It's leaked. Whatever you want. It's not leaked because it was purposeful, but whatever. It's a fish, so we can announce it on here. American Apathy, my third album. It's an hour-long video special, a 10-track album. Both a lot of crossover material, about like 98% crossover material. I think I got one extra joke in the audio album, but either way, it's drawn from the same material. But listen to the audio album, watch the special. They're organized differently, very purposefully to give each one a unique experience.
They're so good.
Crack a beer, watch the video at home, and then on your way to work, listen to the album in the car. I'm like, I just couldn't be more happy with the way everything turned out.
Yeah, it's
And
so good.
It's like doing comedy live is its own thing, and then recording it and distributing it, it's another. You're transferring it to a new medium. So I really want. I think that's a special process. So not only do I love my ideas for it, but I'm just overwhelmed by the awesome things that the people that have contributed. Dane Kissel, who the video portion is
genuine.
just turned it into a masterpiece that elevates the joke writing within. You know, it's like I said, you telling jokes. It's just that not what a special makes. That you've got to turn it into something else because it's not meant for that. So you have to turn it into something, and so you need a guy like that. I don't think I could have done it, or he's good at that.
Yeah.
He did it. Dan Friesen helped me with a certain thing on the audio album that I don't want to spoil, so I won't get specific. But what he contributed, just the idea the idea I had was good. The execution is great, and it's because of Dan Friesen. Jackie Manti took my photo for the album cover, and Laura Sanders, who was on my podcast, Safe Space, great episode, listen to. We talk about birth control. She's a talented graphic designer. She did all the artwork on that photog that you took. So I'm happy with the design. I'm happy with how I look, which is damn near impossible because of you. And I'm happy with the artistry collaboration between me, Dan Friesen, Dan Kissel, everyone that helped film and do sound. Dan Wilburn did a little sound editing on the album too, makes it sound a little better. So just like those people that just tuned and tweaked what I worked 2 years to create in terms of a chunk of material, they elevated it to the mediums that it was dispersed to. And I don't know, it's long-winded. like I always am about it, but it's just because like
It's exciting.
the act is the act. The album and the special are art forms, and they're created through time, through collaboration, through
right.
just real genius that is not my genius. That's other genius, and
Yeah.
they all stepped it up for something that I get to put my name on. So there's a selflessness to it.
Yeah.
So
That's a good way to put it.
it's fucking I'm really proud of it.
So
So
when can listeners listen to it?
September 29th.
Okay.
So lowclass.com, lo-class.com, the site we always plug. Just like everything you'll do, counts as everything, so it'll be there. And everything we digitally distribute,
Yep.
always free.
Always
So just go there, watch the video, listen to the album, and like we always say, it's free, but we distribute everywhere. So it should on that same day drop on all your other streaming platforms. The video should only be available on the website, and then you might be able to get it on some other apps through that. But either way, like the video will be up there, but the album should be everywhere you can get albums.
Awesome.
So you might have to pay for it there, but if you don't want to pay for it, there's always a free option. But
Great.
sometimes you're like, I'll just buy it on iTunes, so then it's in my iTunes library.
Yeah.
We give you that option.
Totally.
So we just don't set that price point. So
We're thinking
we
of you.
can't promise free, but there's always a free option. So hey, that's the most important thing. So I'll just real quick run through everything else. At Justin Golak, Twitter, JustinGolak.com, website, Justin@JustinGolak.com. Send me them dick pics.
And you can contact me at JackieMancy.com.
Send them tit pics.
We've been in the car for a long time,
Tit pics.
and I'm ready to stand up. I love you guys. Thanks for listening.
Have you gotten any good tit pics yet?
No tit pics.
Come on,
I'm
guys,
waiting.
listeners.
I know.
Crop your head out. We don't have to know who it is, but I want to see some. Jackie wants to see some tits.
A nice little plug there. All right, guys. Thanks so much. We will see you next Monday.
FemComPod.com, lowclass.com.
Hello. -class.
Hello.com.
Bye.
Bye.